What's up? Who all we got today? I see Jared. Mike's here. Bridge burner. Ground pounder. All right. All right. So we got the squad here. We'll just go ahead and jump right into it. Um, I guess I touch on it a little, like periodically, because it's something that kind of I'm fascinated with, especially in this line of work, which is having integrity in what you do. So, Billy, what's up, man? Um, so I feel like tree guys get a bad name just in general because of those that have no integrity and they get into this kind of work and they know that they're out to just get what they can out of people and not do a good job. You know, it's I've seen a lot of people who get into it and they see it's money. I want the money. I want that. You know, so it's a lot of times it ends up being like a major storm happens and a guy buys a chainsaw. He goes out, works on a couple of his neighbor's trees. All of a sudden, I'm starting a business. And you know what? That's cool. That doesn't really bother me, especially if you get into it. But I feel like anything you do, you need to have a bit of integrity to you, or you shouldn't be doing it. Leave it to the next guy who's gonna give a good product. You know, I put my camera on the right side. Yes. So you guys aren't gonna get the hand cover every time when I go to look at the comments. Well, Climber Clint, what's up, man? Um, so I just okay. I'll just use like a couple of my own for examples, and I'll use the most recent. I get a phone call, and the guy says, "Hey," or actually no, yeah, okay. He says, "I have a tree. I have some trees that are in really bad shape." He says, "The city has now notified me, and I have I think it was like 25 days at the time, till the 25th of July to get these taken care of, or I'm getting fined repeatedly." So I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, I've been doing this for a very, very long time. It's not like we live in a real fancy, area. It's, Podunkville. There's nothing fancy about it. The biggest thing to us is St. Louis, and it's a 2-hour drive. So we're in the country. It's not like the city's usually all over you. Even if you let your grass grow up, the city's not going to be all over you. There's not enough of them to police that like a lot of cities do. But your neighbor is where the issues end up usually coming. A neighbor will repeatedly call in complaints, which forces the city to now focus their attention on you, where they never would originally. Now they're focused on you. BTS, what's up? Awesome. Turbo's here. Cool. Gotta be careful with being nice. Some customers will try to take advantage. 100%. You need to get that respect from them. Which some of them you have to be okay with knowing that you're not going to get that from them. And I go robot then. That's just the way I respond. That's the way I react. And there's no real emotion So this guy says, "I have till the 25th. I need to get these taken care of. Can you come by and look at these?" I said, "Yeah." I swung by. Enormous dead tree over the top of his house. rotten, falling apart. On top of his house is laying a section of it that's about this big around. It's on his roof. Luckily, it landed flat, didn't go through his roof. He says, on a fixed income. And, you know, and they're going to find me, and there's cities all over. I felt bad. I felt bad. So, like, those are the ones where I'm like, okay, that's the guy I want to deal with, you know, because not, I don't want to deal with him because he's in a desperate mode. I want to deal with him because I can help him, where another guy won't really. So I go there and I realize, I'm like, okay, wow, this is insane. This tree is it's falling apart completely. You can't really be climbed. I thought, I personally, I probably was gonna climb it anyway, but I was gonna use a sweet gum tree next to it and tie in and then swing everything over. But also in his yard was about 3 or 4 other trees, and those trees had humongous sections that had blown out of them. Not blown out of them, broke out of them because it's completely dead, and smashed the fence. So every neighbor's fence had a big, huge limb in it. And there's like 4 neighbors. There's like, or 3. 2 here and 1 back here. Well, he lets me know the one back here has called the city on him multiple times. He made him tear down his shed because he said rats was coming out of the shed and they were eating his vegetables out of his garden. And so the city came by and made him tear his shed down. He tears his shed down. No, the yard is in rough shape. You know, the place is in rough shape, but he's an older guy. He probably doesn't have time to do all that. So, you know, I overlooked that. But that neighbor called. He says, I go to work and he says, I work at Lowe's up here. He says, I was at work one day. Well, instantly when he says that, I have a pretty good memory. I kind of tune things out after I take care of them. That's why I like to focus on single projects at a time, because I tune out and I erase, and my mind is solely on the one. So as soon as he says I work up here at Lowe's, I thought he was on a fixed income. You know, I thought this, I thought that. You know, he kind of contradicted himself on a few things. But he said his neighbor showed up at his work, introduced himself. He says, hey, you know who I am? He says, oh yeah, you're my neighbor behind me. He says, yeah, I'm the guy that called the cops on you and had your shed tore down. And he's like, oh, whoa, really? He's like, yeah. He said, I did that because I knew I'd get a quick response. I didn't want to have to wait a long time. And I was like, wow, so he basically come up to you and introduced himself. Hi, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm a dickhead. And he's like, yeah, that's what he did. So, wow, well, that was a little messed up. He said, I asked him, well, why wouldn't you come over and just ask me? He says, you know, I just needed I needed it done quick. And I knew this is the fastest route to do it. And that just gives you a little bit of like insight in people nowadays. I find myself at times wanting to give up being nice and be rude like everybody else. I find that happening a lot. But then it's just everyone's rude, and then what's gonna happen then? Like, it'd be miserable. So I'm gonna catch these comments sometimes. Sometimes it's not the customer's fault. The city forces them to remove a tree that's there. Yeah. Okay. So okay. Good point. So now, like I said, there's 4 or 5 other trees in this backyard. This one dead tree that's completely dead. It is just a dead, huge maple tree. Just stretches out. It is only over his house. It's not over the neighbors. So I wouldn't think the neighbors would be calling in on this tree. I think it's the other trees. So I asked him, I said, which 2 trees that is the city telling you have to remove? He don't even know. So there's one dead, one that kind of grows over, and it's covered in poison ivy. I'm thinking maybe that one, but he keeps saying the one he knows for sure is the one that's completely stone cold dead and falling apart, which goes over his house and everything. Over an electric line that I could hit my head onto because the tree keeps dropping stuff out and knocking his electric line off to the point that they just hung it low until the tree's removed. His phone line or cable line is laying on the ground, like a foot off the ground, because they won't attach it because it just keeps getting knocked down. And I go back there and look. There isn't room to be able to get a lift into that area. So it's got to be climbed. And he says, this is the only one I know. So I only give him a bid on this one tree. Like I tell him how much. And it was like maybe less than half of what it was worth. And I'm just trying to help. And I say, so what if we get it down and there's just a pile of stuff here? He knows a guy that needs firewood and wants firewood. So I say 90% of this thing we can cut into firewood. We'll put in a single pile. We'll cut it into firewood for you. Now I can eliminate having to come haul it off, and I can help him a little more. I've eliminated a landfill charge, which means I can help him a little more. And I have a little more cutting, but a little less physical work. So that makes it where I can help him a little more. Um, I give him this. I leave. After I tell him this, the price, he instantly says, well, okay, when? When can you do it? Do it, do it, do it, do it. Which tells you right from the get-go how dirt cheap it was. I was just trying to be nice. And so I leave there. He tells me to do. I said, well, hold on. I need you to call the city. I need you to make sure. And he wants to, your insurance license bond, this, that. I'm like, yeah. So we go through all this. I tell him he needs to contact the city to make sure which two trees. So we're taking down the two trees because he says he has very little money. He is on a fixed income, and he doesn't know what, two trees are supposed to be taken down. What if you take down one that you weren't supposed to? Now you still only have the 25th, and you still have two trees to take down. You just paid a guy, a couple, six, $500-600 to take a tree down that isn't, wasn't needed. You didn't have to. But now you're still going to get fined. So I leave there. He tells me to do it. I don't want him. I'm like, hang on. I don't, well, let's do this. Write up a contract. Let's do this. I'm like, hang on. I need you to call the city, and we need to verify that we were doing the right one. If everything checks out, I'll come back. We'll do everything. And it's like, because I want to make sure everything's written, wrote out, this, that. That way you're covered, and I'm covered, and we're good. And because this thing's so rotten, it can start falling apart. Why leave there? I go fart around for, I don't know, 2-3 hours, maybe 2 hours. And I'm headed back that direction because it's on my way home. I stop at the gas station. As I'm leaving the gas station, some little white car starts waving me down. Hey. And I'm like, whoa. And he pulls up, and it's the guy. And he says, hey, I just needed to tell you, I got a guy that's going to do that for 7. Both trees. And I said, what? He says, I got a guy that's going to do both trees for 7. And I said, what's the other tree? The little one over there? Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, man. Yeah, all right. Good luck. Why wouldn't you call me and tell me? Why would you, it was the weirdest thing to do it then. And I'm like, okay, sure. So, when I came by, I was supposed to be I think I was the last person that was gonna look at it. And there was supposed to be a guy that was there the night before. And I told him, I was like, well, I'll let him go ahead and look. And I don't want to have to, run into somebody else while I'm there. That stuff's weird. So, I'll catch you the next day if it's cool. And he said, that's perfect. So when I came by, I said, so your other guy looked at it, and, did he think he could take care of you and get you taken care of here? And he said he never came by. So I guess the guy ends up showing up, I don't know, a day late. And he must have told him what I told him price-wise. And the guy's like, well, I'll do it for that, and I'll take down this one for 100. And I don't know why that sounds any better to him, but apparently it does. Okay, that was I'd say 4 days ago. I just drove by there. The one little tree that had poison ivy on it is now taken down, but it's laying in the neighbor's yard. It's got the yard covered, and he smashed the fences. Like, the neighbor's fence is like huge, smashed, and like the actual log is still there, which doesn't make any sense. He must have cut a big top out, and it just fell and fell backwards and just mashed the fence to the ground. And the big tree that was the worrisome one that's in the back hasn't been touched. So, not a good start if you're that guy. So, I try not to ever do the. Did the other guy look at it? Would he tell you? And just say I'll do it for a little cheaper. I'll do it for what he'll do it for. That's it. We should all be in that same range. And in your area, you should all be in about the same range. But there are guys that have less overhead that can charge a little less. And then there are guys that are just ballsy and will take crazy chances that'll charge less because they know their value, but their value isn't that much in this. So that's why they're doing it for so cheap. Um, that's just a weird, scenario that I'm just glad that I'm kind of okay with it. It's fine with me. Dang, my eyes are messing up. Question for the group: how do you deal with the customer who won't pay at the end? Well, you always have a signed contract, or you do a. Now we're in digital world, so a lot of times you find yourself doing things over the phone, stuff like that. What you'll do is do a contract over text where you specify everything and um, in depth, and maybe beforehand ask, is this, put their name in it, and when they say yes, say, well, here, I'm going to send you this, and then do the whole thing, like the whole detailed part of it, and then at the end put, this is a verification text, and it can only be, that with this process can only continue and the work can only start when I get a verification back from you that everything looks right, the total and the description. So you can do text too. That seems to work, but I mean you know them people that I wish that you could go off handshake. You just can't. You have to write the contract up and the signature on it. That way you can put a lien on the house. So. Who asked that? Oh shoot, bridge burner. Dang it. We thought we were going to do. If you don't work, I'd put the fear of God then. That's what I do. Yeah. Yeah, the easiest way though, I'm telling you, just even if it's written on just a janky piece of paper or a napkin, write what you're doing, write a total. That way you have verification that are they agreed to your price. Those people that say do it, do it, do it, just do it, and I'll take care of you. Don't do that. Okay, I had a lady one time. I'm gonna keep up with comments while I do this stuff. So, liens are really easy to do. Also, yep, ground pounder knows. I take care of the crew. These customers are not. Just so after the work. Bridge burner, hey, hold off on taking anything. Okay, you can get in trouble. The way the rule works, if you drive away with it, you cannot bring it back. They can get you and ticket you, and you can get in all kinds of trouble. I know it's crazy, but if you're going to dump something on someone's property, you cannot leave their home with it. After you leave with it, it's now yours, and you cannot bring it back and dump it. Been there, done that. What? Everything can use it. Doesn't work. That guy sounds like a real pro. Yeah. Yeah, I can't, I don't want to see anybody get hurt though. Some of these guys are silly. Undercutting everybody for fools. Exactly. I did that my first year or two, but quickly grew out of that. Yeah, because, okay, I can honestly say that in my area, I may be the most expensive. But that doesn't stop me, you know. There's certain things that have to be done, and you have to know your worth at every part of it. You have to include wear and tear. You know, you got to be thinking about taking care of your guy. Getting the job isn't everything. I've worked with guys and that ran companies is that's what they thought was the end all be all. We got so much work. You know, no, no. That's not it. Those jobs that have a profit margin that are at a very high level at the end, those are the jobs. The ones that you're only making a couple here and there that you snaked off the other guy because you just didn't want to see him work are, okay, causing so much wear and tear on your equipment that in the long run it's not profitable. You're not even probably making any. You know, say a guy wanted 500 for a tree removal, you slide in and you say, well, I'll do it for 4. So now you burnt a saw up on that job that you have to replace, and you knocked $100 off what the other guy was going to do, and that $100 would have been your profit at the end. It's, I don't know. I just I don't understand it. There are certain times where you just want to help somebody, and if I can more understand that when you say, well, what's the lowest bid you got? And just like a friend or something, and you're like, you know that your bid's going to be somewhere around everybody else's. You ask, well, what's your lowest bid? And then you do it for a chunk cheaper just to help them out. That kind of stuff. Um, I understand. But this, like, it was the weirdest thing. It doesn't make any sense. It's almost like somebody seen me there and then knocked on the door afterwards, kind of stuff. So silly. I don't know what to say about it. But yeah, I had a lady that, you know, they say they'll take care of you. I had a lady that asked me to transplant her smoke tree. I don't know if you guys know what a smoke tree is, but they're real pretty little trees that like get this weird bloom that kind of looks like a dandelion-ish. I think it's pink, but they're a weird one. This tree was very, very sentimental to her, and she asked me to transplant it. And I was like, this is a huge process that's going to have to be done to get that thing up and move it, and then trim some limbs that was over in this area to lift it up. She says, I'll take care of it. She says, I just need to get it done. So I said, all right. She was one of my dad's longtime customers, and I just felt like I'll help her. At the time, I was really looking for some work, and so I'm like, all right, and I do that, and it takes me 3.5 hours to get every root, you know, opened up, and so I could transplant this thing. It had the biggest root system that was stretched out. I transplanted. It took me 3.5 hours to do this and cut the limbs, non-stop. She came out and handed me a soda and $7. She said, I thought it would only take an hour, so that's what, you know, that's what I had in money. And I was really worried after, you know, I can give you a couple more dollars, you know, but you'll have to come back. I said, no. You keep your money. I just did you a favor. I said, that's not going to work for me. You know, I just would rather do you a favor. I would like to do a good deed more than to have broke my back for $7. I said, I'm going to keep your soda though because I'm pretty thirsty. So, thank you and have a good day. You can't trust people to do you right. That they don't know what right is sometimes, so. Oh, Turbo, right on, buddy. We'll catch you next time. Most of the people are fine with this. It's just once in a while that we get a rotten. Yeah, I press my jobs where they are shopping around. Yep. Yeah, because I mean, a lot of times these guys will show up, and if you spend okay, that's where I usually don't have any troubles because I will educate this customer to the point that I feel like they're they almost have some knowledge. So when that next guy comes in, he starts talking this crazy, silly stuff about like topping trees and all kinds of stuff. They're like, "Well, you're not supposed to do that, right?" And they're like, "Well, not technically," and start shooting them down on things. That's where you spend the time and educating them. You know, you may not get it right that second, but then they start realizing, man, I should have used that other guy, and maybe they talk about you afterwards. So having integrity long term should always pay off. It should always be like a major positive in your work. It takes that one time of not using your integrity, not caring, and doing a crap job, and then you know there's an old saying, it's kind of dirty, you can build 1,000 bridges and, well, I can think of a better one. You, you can spend a lifetime making a name for yourself and ruin it in a minute. So, I'm BSing a customer so that you can get out of doing something that you've already agreed to. I've seen something like, I've seen that a lot, like where guys will go cut a throat and get the job, and then come back and BS their way because they don't want it now. It's like it's not, or a guy's just going out trying to get every job, get everybody's job. He's backed up so long, but then he's like skipping jobs because they don't make enough money. I don't really want to do that one, or that's a scary one, or eh, that kind of stuff drives me nuts. Where it's like, I don't know. I mean, you're gonna take the tree down and you don't take it down because there's a bird nest, like that kind of stuff. You know, why wouldn't you? That bird's gonna have to build a new nest. Get out. The tree's got to come down. Waiting for it to hatch its eggs and fly away, and I find it to be silly unless it's like a majorly endangered species or something. But if it's something that when you go up, it's gonna scare it off. I don't I don't much understand that. Knowing that, the tree has issues, and like say now you even think it's worse because you see all this stuff. To walk away is a tough thing, in my opinion. I don't think I could do that because if you're worried about it falling and you walk away, I'm gonna go. I have something to do on a tree that the same thing. We spent a lot of time reassuring and trying to make sure this thing didn't get broke, and it broke in a storm just the other day. So you can't. I'm glad we did what we did because it prevented any major damage. But you can't. When you know something's dangerous, you kind of gotta tell the truth and be like, yeah, this is dangerous. Like it needs to be taken care of immediately. And if you can't take care of it right then, maybe that's one that you got to pass on for somebody else. Because at that time, you were so booked up that, or not able to, that kind of stuff. I have a deal with you. Thanks for the caution. Yeah. Yeah, it's not a good thing. We got in trouble for doing that, so. Low volume, high difficulty are the best for us, 100%. Some people chase the money, they're penny smart, but dollar dumb. Yes, 100%. BTS, that's exactly it. I did too big hollow maples. What's that? But ain't fire though. I saw a video of a guy who had a successful tree base, and he needed a new switch for his saw, but he didn't order it because he didn't want to pay $8 shipping. Yeah, I mean, is it a principle thing where I don't know? Some people will like. I can usually assure you that the success that you think people have on YouTube is never that. It's never as good as you think it is. This is a spot where you show the best of what you've got, what you do, and 90% of YouTube is going to be a glorified version of whatever someone does normally. So I don't take too much into it. So I mean, maybe he's not as successful as he lets on if he's having such issues on paying $8 for shipping. So I'm gonna have me deliver 2 loads, which is not even a final. Oh, what? Fuck, didn't want to pay $8 ship. Hey, that's crazy. Not even a $5 tip. I leave. Okay, I I leave five. I give $5 tips at the dump when I pay the dump. So to the lady who sits in the air conditioned box and takes my money because she's always frowny like me. She's got resting bitch face, and she's just mean. And so I give her money and she smiles, and then she likes me now. That's how you deal with women. Michigan, what's up, man? Yeah, some people are tight like that. When not wanting to spend the money. Who knows what his situation is? Maybe he's got a bunch of new tools that he can slide that one off to the side when he gets time, and he's ordering multiple parts from that place. Maybe that's when he does it. I'm not. I'm I'm guilty of people misconstruing what I'm trying to say in my videos because I'm thinking more long term and I have details that aren't given in the videos. So like maybe say that I'm not paying $8 for a shipping for a button, but the reason I'm not paying $8 to ship that button is because I have a bunch of other saws that I need to figure out what parts, and when I figure that out, I'll get all the parts together because maybe it's like $8 shipping no matter what, something like that. So there's that kind of stuff is hard for me to look at, like the personal stuff. Like the only thing I can really look at, I feel like on YouTube and know like the ins and outs and the truths to most of it is tree work. Tree work is tree work. I don't really care how you do it. It's tree work. I've done it in every which way. I've been incredibly hillbilly to extremely technical. So I feel like that's the one thing that I can really truly understand. So usually when I have like a weird disagreement with things, it's like either how you handle people in general, which makes me sometimes to where I may not be as fond of someone because I may be very introverted and off onto my own and kind of, a loner, but I can easily have like a personality clash with certain types where I'm not going to be confrontational. I'm probably just going to kick rocks, you know, before something would get confrontational because, like, I just, I don't, I feel like most people don't respect people anymore. So, 100%. Michigan, integrity is a major thing, especially if you're trying to run your own thing. You know, when you're doing it for somebody else, you're still trying to build your name in that industry, and what you do is going to follow you. Say you screw that employee over or employer over as the tree guy, and you screw him over, and you're twacked out of your mind. You're doing drugs every day. That tree guy or that owner of that business is going to tell the next owner, "Hey, watch out for this dude. Yeah, I fired him because of this." So you're always etching your, name into stuff, metaphorically, um, at all times, and kind of laying out your map, your movie of, what you did as a career. So it doesn't have to be on YouTube. It's still, your what you've done. So I don't get it. It's a YouTube's a hard one. It's hard to understand everything on YouTube. It's hard to open up and like, I don't know what people want to know about me. So it's hard for me to just, who knows like what you're supposed to say to make people relate. So I usually just kind of ramble like I would ramble to myself, and either you like me or you're not that fond of me. I'm sure there's probably groups dedicated to hate me. So anybody to make one at the beginning, yep. Yeah, it's so easy. And I'll tell a customer, Michigan, I'll tell them, Google it. Google is not the end all be all, but it will give you, if is topping trees good for my tree? I'm sure when you Google that, you're not going to get great answers because it's not. So there are certain things that, with a simple search, even if they're not educated, they can be educated quickly. So trying to figure your way through it's getting really hard for some of these guys. But now I'll replace whatever I need. Yeah. Yeah, that's the smart thing to do because having to wait unless you have issues somewhere, there's reason for it. So. You want to spend money to make money, try logging? I bet. Logging money is like 50 levels above. Place what you need. Any good tree cat knows referrals, return gigs are the lifeblood of revenue. Absolutely. People talk, and people talk non-stop now because of social media. So it's I assure you, every day there's a group for your town, your area, your location on Facebook where someone every day gets on there and says, "Can anyone refer someone to do my trees?" Or, "Does anyone know a tree service?" No one wants to look anything up anymore. They want everybody to give them the answers real quick so that they'll post up and do it that way. So. Fuel is absolutely ridiculous. I don't even know what to do about fuel. It's like, I feel so stupid that, like, okay, August, I hate the sound of that electric chainsaw. But I'm starting to like it because I'm like seeing the gas he's saving. And I'm like, man, right now I wish I had one of those. I wish my stuff wasn't burning through gas like crazy. And it's like, trips cost 3 times what they used to cost. And it's hard, because what do? You eat that? Or do you transfer that over to cost of customer? And if you're trying to create something that's profitable, you're transferring that cost to customer. You can't eat that. So there's a level of being too nice to where it becomes foolish. But being nice and having integrity is not the same thing. Some guys have all the integrity in the world and have pride in what they do, but they're not people where they don't like chit chatting, and maybe they're not the friendliest person in the world. Maybe they decided one day to get a face tattoo now. You can't judge people there. So it's like, integrity's a weird one. And I think it's the reason that this is kind of a dying industry, because it usually requires a person to have integrity and have pride in what they do, because you're going to have to like it, stay, because it's going to beat your body up. And can you do that repeatedly? If you don't like it, probably not. And nowadays, everyone's told, if you don't like your job, just quit it. Do what you love. Do what you. Some people don't have that privilege of doing what they love. They got to do what they got to do to pay the bills. So, William, what's up, buddy? How much longer will we take cover? Hey. Ben, very good. It's 50%. Yeah, it's must be nice there. You're down to earth and honest, that's why I've always did. Oh, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. I try to be. And, like, I always think about, like, I feel like some of the guys that I've kind of look up to as far as YouTube were more like me when they started. And maybe they're not as much anymore. Or maybe they never were, and maybe it just took a long time to get to know them that way. So it's like, if you kind of blew up, and this is all you really had to do was like make videos, would it change how you act? So I don't know, because I'm gonna be straight. I don't think that's ever gonna be an issue. I think we'll slow grow, and we'll do it until we're bored of it, and then it'll probably end. And I'll get some way to download the stuff, stick it aside, and look back at it later. But what about the other side's up? Yeah. Well, I'm sure August probably makes a damn bar nowadays that goes on your saw. It's like a 36 inch for the 200. I bet he could get one. That'd be funny. You just use the Husqvarna to do everything. You start milling lumber too. Sometimes you gotta be cruel to be kind. I've been in very many situations where customers are very stern, rude. If you think people are rude and well, just rude, in general, out in public, go to their house. Like, okay, say you work behind a counter somewhere, and you're like, dude, I deal with people all day, or you work through a drive-through, or any kind of service, and you're like, people suck. They are rude as hell. They're this, they're that. Okay, I don't doubt that one bit. I see it, and I experience it out in public too. It's ridiculous. That's why I despise going to any grocery store or Walmart or anything. Um, Go to their house. You want to see them at their rude high level? Go to their home. Go where they live, where they get to be the boss. They will mistreat you in public because they have an authority over you as the customer. And they will try to mistreat you at their home because it's their home and they're the boss. So it's tough. There's been customers that have forced me to flip out on them, and they liked me right afterwards. Then we clicked. I had to cuss a lady out one time for no reason because I let her cuss me out repeatedly, and I kept asking her to stop, and she wouldn't do it. She kept cussing me. And I was like, "You can't stop." She kept cussing me, so then I cussed her back and told her she'd stick her job, And I started to walk off. She laughed. She says, "I like you. Let's do it." Oh my God. Like, and at that time, I'm heated. My heart's pounding. I'm like, can't believe I just said that. I apologized right afterwards. I said, "I'm sorry because you're a woman. I shouldn't talk like that. But you can't do that." And then I was like, "I don't need this." And I walked away. That's when I worked for a guy. Um, it was a long time ago. Yeah. And I've had other customers where you just got to be rude to them, and then they stop being rude to you. I don't know. People like that are different. I have 3 electrics on 2 top handles and a small. Oh, cool. Is it? That's awesome. You have to like it 100%. Damn. Like, something electrics always cool. You have to love it. Yeah, you definitely gotta love this if you want to do it. Well, you don't have to. It can be something that you do to pay the bills. It just won't be long term. Because if this doesn't excite you and you don't like it, you're probably going to look to find that, a similar amount of money somewhere else that's doing less, you know. So, having going on life, not believing, feels like good karma. Yeah, Rob. Yeah, I agree with that too. I agree with you about the sound of August. I started to like it. I'm telling you, the higher gas gets, the more I'm like, I can handle that ignorant whang noise. I think I can. So, it is what it is. I got an instant got a Prius, this battery went out. Oh, she bought another car for less than the battery. For the what? That's crazy. That's the part that I don't like. You know, it's pay this much for the saw, and then you don't give me a battery, and I have to buy a battery and the charger separate, and it costs what the saw costs. Like, come on, that's like okay. Here's a chainsaw. Well, part of it. Here's the motor. You got to buy it separate with the gas, and you got to put it in. Like so. But the motor costs what the whole saw costs. Hey, I don't know if any of you. I'm gonna try to catch up real quick. Electric batteries anyway. No battery for free. 8,000. Oh my god. At least find out stuff that doesn't have to be. Yep. For 6,000. Damn. 4 months. Educated. Idiot customers too. And idiot neighbors. Sometimes you gotta stand. The ground. Yep. Awesome. I caught it. It always takes time to be good. Stay good at something. Yep. How many times you gotta change careers just for something that looks easy or shinier and that seems easy? Yeah, I get the chase though. Maybe they're looking for that thing that they go to work and it doesn't feel like work. I do understand that. That's why anytime I've ever had anybody that has asked to work, it's always like, yeah, yeah, okay, so I got a job? No, 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 no. No, like, I'll, you can come to work and we'll let you work and you can find out that day after it's all said and done if you like it or not. You may not like this. I may not like you as a worker. Maybe you're a slug and you don't really do anything. So you kind of save it for both of you. I think there should always be that trial day for anybody. Um, just my opinion though. But anybody who follows Human, I don't know if he's been posting anything, but I'm stoked to say that he is is doing good. He's working. He looked like he was maybe with some family or friends and was gonna do fireworks. Um, I'm just stoked to see him love one out again. And so if he is posting, I don't know if he's posting on YouTube anymore, but if he is, you maybe give him a thumbs up and check him out. He is on Instagram. That's how I know that he's doing all right. Is the communication there? and his Instagram is at Nymuh, so it's Nymuh, and it says Corey Thayer, I think. So you can check him out through there. But yeah, I was stoked about that, and I meant to tell you guys last time, and I forgot. So. What a skateboarding is. Yeah, I know. I'm the exact same. But I was just thinking about this the other day. What, what, if you think about it, two things couldn't be further away from each other. Not as far as physically, but as far as well, technically and mentally. Skateboarding and tree work. Skateboarding requires an understanding that failure is going to be permanent. It's going to happen a lot, prevalent. I mean, and tree work requires failure to not almost exist. It can't. One mistake over here could end it. One over here is just your first try, because you're going to have 20 more where you fail before you get. It's really weird. I thought about that the other day, and as I was making a post, and I thought it was pretty crazy on Instagram. Craig, what's up? Man, my face is getting shiny as we sit here. I'm starting to like sweat. It's ridiculous. Yeah, Corey's doing good though. Yeah, I was really stoked on that. He's posting not much tree work shots. A lot of live gaming. Okay, right on. Yeah, I mean he's new at where he's working, so I imagine he's probably just trying to work and get back into it and get familiar. And you don't know if they're allowing him to even record anything. Some places are so shoddy, like they don't want you recording because they're like, what if we mess up? You'll have proof, that kind of stuff. So who knows? Who knows the full backstory? I was just stoked to see him doing positive stuff and saying positive things. It was awesome. Yo, I just learned hard push, by the way, at 30. Dude, that's awesome. Holy shit. That's crazy. That's nuts. I meant to go skate today, but my daughter was around, so I spent the day with her. We kind of hung out. But she went with me to go look at the tree that broke apart, and then she went with me to empty my trailer. And my truck AC is out. I don't know what happened. It happened last year at the end of summer, but the AC is just shot. And that's like the last thing I'll get to. Just roll the windows down, get used to it, because you're about to work in it. This is the way I look at it. So I never really used my AC much as it was, but it sure was nice to be able to get in there and use it when I needed it on miserable days. And when it's not there now, it's kind of a bummer. Did you get it? Yeah, he just has brain farts sometimes. He knows all this stuff. He knew not to make those cuts. Like I said, I just explained to him beforehand. So he knew for sure not to make them cuts. But he's only thinking of solving a singular problem. And I feel like that's what'll make a good tree guy. Is he's thinking of repercussions. Repercussions are major in tree work. If I do this, what will happen? If I do this, what will happen? Sometimes, when you do something, there could be multiple outcomes. So is this one bad and this one good? Are they both good? Well, who cares then? If they're both bad, maybe don't do it. So, that's the part where he thinks that a singular move. We had cut those so they were stobs. It had rained a ton, so as he lowered it down, it sunk in. It was a big limb. The camera made it look so little. It sunk, and then it wouldn't go nowhere. And I'm like, dude, you shouldn't have lowered it like that. You should have got a hold of an end and lowered it down. But he already let it sink, and it sunk quite a bit. So I had to get down and start kicking at it to get it to go around the limb and lower down, but it was all right. He was just thinking about getting it unstuck so that he can get a hold of it, move it, not thinking of when I cut that what could happen. He was just thinking, I don't want to ask I don't want to ask Mike what to do here because I know what to do. Like, it's stuck and I need to cut it off, so I'm gonna anchor it. But he's like, I need to ask though because, and I'm glad he did. He's like, I'm gonna cut this if that's all right. And I just was dumbfounded. I'm like, dude, it's not all right. It's absolutely, totally, 100% not all right. That's probably where it came off so like, rah, aggressive because I just discussed it. So. Yeah, bridge burner. That's what I did with when I started. What's up, Thomas? When I got back into skating, if I learned a trick for the most part, I don't do it as much now. But I learned all the basics by if I learned ollie, I did it in all stances, fakie, nollie, switch. But then I went to 180s, I did it in all stances. Then I did pop shove-its, I did it in all stances. The kick flips, the three shoves, that kind of, and when you start to get anywhere above that kind of stuff, then it starts to become not as consistent. But you know, but it's good to see him. Yeah, it is. It's really good to see him back. I just installed tarp with a racket. Oh, that's cool. Is the racket the big like metal thing? It rolls it over, like flips it back. 100%, Greg. I don't know why it made me feel so good, but man, it made me feel good. Like I worry. That's what I do. I'm a worry wart. I worry about people. If I care for somebody, I worry for them, and I stress about it. And I try to think of if there's any way I can help them. And I offered so much help repeatedly, and it was just so I knew he's in a bad place. And now I realize he kind of needs his space, and I don't want to push him and stuff. But I'm stoked to see him on the right track. Ratchet is that is that the I don't know anything about big dump trucks. How to get his 4D chess game up? It's all 4D chess. Yeah, I have so that's cool. Man, these mosquitoes are destroying my feet. I hate them. I think we're gonna end this. And what can I say to end this? If you don't have integrity, maybe you should go buy some. That's just mine. But that would help everybody. Says the old guy. What was that last one? Every now and then, very much not allowed for myself, but it locks into any position. Oh, okay, cool. That's awesome. That's good. Alright, they're destroying me. They're trying to steal every bit of my blood. And I'm gonna get some weird disease from mosquitoes. And I don't want it. Okay, I'm gonna get out of here. Hey, there's my weird chair I made. That's what I'm sitting in. It looks a little cleaner since I washed it. I need to go get like a jar of the old school polyurethane. That's like the stuff that you like paint on with a brush, that big thick stuff, and just glob it all over it. Because I dig how, like down in, when you do walnut, behind the bark, it'll get these little nipple things. Oh, what the hell, it's not even in the camera. It'll get these weird little nipple things here, and they're all over like little spikes. Those things are crazy. You get these bumps all underneath the bark right there and there. But yeah, this whole thing, this is just a, a log split long ways, and then two slabs. So a slab on the back for the seat, and a slab on the back. I just cut a little notch out of the two logs. Cut a little notch out of them. It slides this seat into there, and yeah, it's not like nailed together or anything. It's just so heavy that it holds itself together. Guys, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. Oh my God, you guys, so many comments now. I don't want to run. Is it M, or do I say M, or do I just make the M noise? Or just, oil gets rid of mosquitoes, right? Yeah, we have citronella, like some maybe. We have some of those torches. I need to light them. I just hate mosquitoes. They're so bad in our area because we have a few neighborhood houses here that are like abandoned, and they're so grown up. And there's like a mosquito haven where the cats go play, and I hate them. I hate them. I'm gonna sit here. Guys, I gotta get out of here. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you guys. Um, BTS. Thanks. Greg, Billy, Bridge Burner, as always. Um, Amp, thanks for hanging out. Sorry we kind of missed you here, but I'm glad you swung in. How to get rid of mosquitoes. Yeah, Billy, Jared, anybody that swung in. Thomas. Guys, I appreciate it. I really do. Maybe we'll do another live at some point this week, and we'll do it at maybe 1 in the morning. We'll see. Yeah, maybe we go live because I should have reception where I'm at. We'll see. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out. Stay safe.